I didn't think I would find that as funny, because I knew I was going to do it. I hadn't planned to say anything at all. God, I've ruined my, good start. The mountains are close to roofless stone buildings, the texture of the present. Free abandoned houses, deserted weather, the very water and fountains crumbling over the hand-picked over centuries, narrow with age, yet only approximately trapped in gross time that keeps growing without a firm hold on, like much in the world, an ancient mess. Hand-restored inhabitants, blue islands and gods, not all so different, fled the harsh winds of museum dust, official settlement on unorthodox peace, under protection of being a ghost town haunting the government. Rundown mountainside, roadside, mostly standing stopping place, trapped in the ghost camera of tourism. Serves you a moment right on silver nitrate of man without sorrows and the war that often results. Birds tell a story, narrated by overzealous tides, not limited to people, holiday fallout makers, mixing euphemisms in mutually assured population exchange. Air concerns us. Local expats and their unfortunate letters, driven on foot by a still more abject strain of killing someone unintentionally. Console of the roads tossed with exiled bodies and homes when crashing beyond a day trip out of control. Has the tour guide set us down on the wrong beach, mismanaged our fate into losing more lives as a percentage of population than any other country involved? There, I invoke that nationalism I abhor as a defensive mechanism against the very act of God it causes. This has nothing to do with figures, human. We can count on geometry and skin pigments, and while interesting mathematical figuration we hide in our hand-screen thoughts as once resounding war struggles to find its way on. Alien industries, a powerless grid, stripped down to peace destitute, holding a compass to its own head. Found huddling against archaeology, it's taken in as a ghost town, preserved as a museum, and when this soon becomes unworkable, ghost town for rent, auction lease on foreclosed time, hotels for resorts and sand beaches, themselves retired, no longer of this earth, a tabloid moving reminder that we actually cannot stand traffic. Gothic theme parks, preserved in a petition you don't actually want fulfilled. Guided tours of oil painting oceans seen from space, experimenting with fractals like grandest opiates, its seedy tourist hubs all the way down. Prepare space for its antithesis. Target proverbs and certain habits from the molecular level up. We're going to have to forfeit. Gene sequences confront us now. The war of presence loads wings.jpg and empty removal, but all this is nothing on the experiments conducted by fashion. Glitz and auto, bio, graphical, glamour of atomized cities, chemical signatures, mail online, collectibles, and afterwards, lights, camera, this unframed whole finally playing out its capacities for party tricks for real. Accelerating the path, not what floats upon it. The whole picture of the whole picture exhausted with itself. In many ways, just the influx of Holocene all over again. But even so, who'd have picked private arcs to cling to cozy disintegration? Mechanized dog shit raises the stakes by actively seeking out shoes, and seems the gods are on cleanup, at least according to only semi-ruinous sources. We've given a gift that doesn't get returned, breaking with circulation this time, bloodshed, boohoo. Time stopped down to a point where it's the only thing that happens at all, which is circular in a way, isn't it? Closed planetary molecule. The mountains are close to the Bronze Age lived, haunting birds without wings, today continually inhabited with mist from the sea. Collapsed colony, this is the lavish curse of traveling in arteries. On sea acres, Ulysses, wearing a wire, but grafted to a mast of ivory that might still drip with elephant's blood. And this is what's necessary to stop him turning to one of those ambulance-chasing attorneys. To the very, very edge of biodiversity, with our understanding unlikely to survive, locomotion, eating, breathing, guillotine to unfettered neck, the zombified prosthesis. Perforated animals and Lazarus taxa, we high-risk reward organisms versus we discrete arc makers of insect backyards and bugs and their deaths, they are on the ship's manifest. Look at you killing what I killed, while critical of a world, sans bugs, that does not compute, comes closer and closer to thought it was tautological to speak of elegiac elegy, but of course, collapse disorder, cirrhotic gauze, of the air warmed against death, the way immolation refrigerates. A tundra where it all happens. How long to wait before the gristle and crap food becomes oil, before fluctuations in a metric produce a new Big Bang that crawls across our cities like glaciers. The monument to time shouldn't pass. Arches crumbling perfectly in tune today. Repacked the cultivated Holocene from the corners of bleak afternoons. Drink 4 cups of card pulp through your slurping eyes, your carbon filters. Take a leap rather than poison, and stick around if only to keep me from hurting myself. I'd rather we evolve drawn, two-dimensional, without any space for internal organs, but we desire a synthetic biology as needy and fragile and poorly suited to transport by miniature Earths as us. If flesh is going to be inorganic, it better have all the analog fretfulness, magnetic, nature, allure, electric, and homely artifice. And what about inorganic extinction? Species counting, species while it's happening, when species of landscape ? Everyone depends on the weather, inveritable invertebrates. We imagine this light pleads, wonderfully deaf to the stunningly deaf actors in hydrocarbon poetry. Woke later in a hallway, beaten, blood-grazed, doors cowering flat against the walls, afraid to be opened from either side. Sound questions that start out meaningless, that is, so full of everything. Rejected school lunch, or the laughing pain of acupuncture. Abandoned colour and there is light kept to itself. Abandoned light at a certain hour and towers burned through their windows, littered glass in various states of repair. Everything at the same time calling out answers. A box stopped in its tracks, either way, a face or a path to be walked upon. Veins in red brick play at being marble. Someone flips a table, but somehow slowly as their arms flail minute-handed. What would otherwise just be breath latches onto air and decides to travel along with funny names, moving uncomfortably, moving at arm's length or tentacle width towards anything quiet. And so far, everything has been an apology of some kind, deluded like thinking you can come to grips with the air or ocean. Light tentacles curl, everything back to you. You consider that the veins in your eyes you cannot see may be the tentacle roots. Your eyeballs, the bulk of octopus heads, as though in cold and damp enough atmosphere when all slows and feels a little heavier, you could clutch in the path of your face, grasp the light pouring your eyes like braided rope, bouquet of wet suckers and limbs choked. Your hands need pull in no direction. The boneless form will wave through your grip as though by throat contractions. Your face gets wet as the heads slurp from your warm sockets. But something day to day goggles against the slime. Your old friends disappear into dark water, looking only certain ways, dragging yourself along rope only certain directions.